Lily's small hand tugged at my sleeve for the third time. I'd been trying to ignore it, focused on the rhythm of our boots against the dirt path, but she wasn't giving up. Mom, seriously, listen. I stopped, catching my breath. We'd been climbing steadily for 40 minutes, and at 32, I wasn't as effortlessly energetic as my 10-year-old daughter. The Saturday morning hike through the Oregon mountains had been our tradition for 3 years now, ever since David died. Every month without fail, just the two of us and the wilderness. What is it, sweetheart? Lily tilted her head, her dark curls escaping from beneath her hiking cap. She had David's ability to hear things before anyone else noticed. Someone's yelling, that way. She pointed toward the old railway section that cut through the eastern part of the forest. I listened. Nothing but wind through pines and the distant call of a hawk. Are you sure? Those tracks have been abandoned for decades. Nobody goes there. I'm sure. Her green eyes, mirror images of mine, were serious. Please, Mom. Against my better judgment, I nodded. We veered off the main trail, pushing through denser undergrowth. The abandoned railway had been part of a logging operation back in the 50s, long before environmental regulations shut it down. Most locals avoided it, too overgrown and unstable to bother with. Then I heard it. A muffled sound, almost like choking, carried on the breeze. My nursing instincts kicked in before my common sense could object. I quickened my pace, Lily matching my steps. We burst through a line of evergreens and stopped dead. The tracks stretched before us, rusted rails barely visible beneath years of accumulated debris. And there, in the center, was a man. He was tied to the metal, thick rope binding his wrists and ankles to the iron. Blood soaked his white shirt, turning it a deep crimson on the left side. His face was bruised, one eye swollen shut, and cuts crisscrossed his exposed forearms. Dark hair fell across his forehead, damp with sweat despite the cool morning air. His good eye fixed on us. Relief and fear warred in that gaze. Help me. His voice was rough, barely audible. They'll come back. I should have run. Should have grabbed Lily and sprinted back to the trail, called the authorities, let someone else handle whatever nightmare this was. But 3 years of emergency room shifts had trained the hesitation out of me. I saw a human being in critical condition, and my body moved before my mind finished debating. Lily, stay back. I approached cautiously, scanning the tree line. Who did this to you? Doesn't matter. He tried to shift and grimaced, pain etching deeper lines around his mouth. Just cut the ropes. Please. That's when I saw them. 4 men in dark clothing, maybe 100 yards away through the trees, searching methodically. They hadn't spotted us yet, but they would. My heart hammered against my ribs. Lily, come here, now. She was already pulling the camping knife from her backpack, the one David had taught her to handle safely. Smart girl. She pressed it into my hand without a word. The blade wasn't designed for heavy rope, but adrenaline made me strong. I sawed frantically at the bindings while keeping one eye on the approaching figures. The man watched me work, his breathing shallow and rapid. You're losing blood. I freed his wrists and moved to his ankles. That's a gunshot wound. You need a hospital. No hospitals. It wasn't a request. They have people everywhere. The final rope gave way. I helped him sit up, and he nearly passed out from the movement. Up close, I could see he was probably in his mid-30s, well-built beneath the expensive clothes now ruined by violence. There was a presence about him, even in his weakened state, something that spoke of authority and danger. Can you walk? I kept my voice low. I'll manage. He tried to stand and swayed. Without thinking, I ducked under his uninjured arm, taking as much of his weight as I could. Lily grabbed his other side, surprising me with her composure. There's a secondary trail, Mom. The one Dad showed us. They won't know it. Of course she remembered. Lily forgot nothing, especially the places her father had loved. We moved as quickly as the man's condition allowed, which wasn't nearly fast enough. Every snapped twig sounded like a gunshot. Every rustle in the undergrowth made my pulse spike. The man's weight increased as his strength faded, and I could feel the sticky warmth of blood seeping through his shirt onto my shoulder. My Civic waited in the small parking area, blessedly alone. We'd arrived early to beat the weekend hikers. I fumbled for my keys while Lily helped ease the man into the back seat. "Where are you taking me?" He slumped against the door, consciousness flickering. "My house. It's 20 minutes from here." I gunned the engine, tires spitting gravel as we pulled out. "I'm a nurse. Emergency room. I can treat you there. Rachel Torres." He'd seen my hospital ID badge, still clipped to my hiking pack. "That your daughter?" "Yes, and if you've put her in danger, wounded or not, you'll regret it." A ghost of a smile crossed his face. "Fair enough." Lily leaned forward from the passenger seat, studying him with clinical interest. She'd spent enough time at the hospital over the years, waiting for me during double shifts, that medical situations didn't faze her. "You have a bullet in your shoulder. I can see the entry wound." "Lily," my tone was sharp. "It's fine." The man's eye closed. "She's observant. Trait that could save her life someday." The words sent ice through my veins. What had I involved us in? My house was a small 2-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood, the kind of place where people minded their business. I pulled into the garage and shut the door before helping him inside. He was barely conscious now, shock setting in hard. I cleared my kitchen table with one sweep of my arm, sending mail and Lily's homework scattering to the floor. "Help me get him up here." Carefully. Together we maneuvered him onto the surface. I ran to my bedroom closet where I kept my advanced first aid kit, the one I'd assembled over years of working trauma. Sterile gauze, surgical tape, antibacterial solution, suture thread. I grabbed scissors from the kitchen drawer and my best tweezers from the bathroom. "Lily, boil water. Fill every pot we have." She moved without question, already lighting the stove burners. I cut away his shirt, revealing the full extent of the damage. The bullet wound in his left shoulder was still bleeding, though slower now. Bruises in the shape of fists covered his ribs. Shallow cuts marked his forearms, deliberate and precise. Torture, not random violence. "This is going to hurt." I cleaned the area around the wound, watching his face. He stayed conscious through gritted teeth. "I need to remove the bullet. I don't have anesthesia. Do what you have to do." His right hand gripped the table edge, knuckles white. I sterilized my tweezers in the boiling water Lily brought over, then took a steadying breath. My hands were rock steady. They always were when it mattered. I'd removed shrapnel from gang violence victims, extracted glass from car accident survivors. A bullet wasn't that different. Except I'd always had a team, proper equipment, surgical lights. This was improvisation at its most desperate. The tweezers slid into the wound. He arched against the table, a strangled sound escaping his throat. I felt for the bullet, my fingers guided by years of experience and sheer determination. There. I grasped the metal and pulled, slow and even. It came free, distorted from impact but intact. I dropped it into a bowl and immediately packed the wound with sterile gauze. "Lily, hand me that dental floss." It wasn't ideal, but I'd sterilized it in boiling water. It would hold until proper stitches could be done if we ever made it that far. My daughter passed me the thread without hesitation, then positioned herself to hand me gauze as I needed it. She'd watched me work before during her visits to the ER, absorbing procedures through observation. Now that strange education was paying off. I sutured the wound closed with practiced efficiency, each stitch precise despite my racing heart. The man had stopped making sounds, jaw locked against the pain. Sweat soaked his dark hair, dripped down his temples. When I finished, I wrapped his shoulder properly and checked his other injuries. The cuts were clean, already starting to clot. The bruises would take weeks to fade, but weren't life-threatening. He opened his eye, focused on me with surprising clarity. "You just saved my life. Don't thank me yet. I still might call the police." I was washing blood from my hands when I said it. "You won't." His certainty irritated me. "And why not?" "Because you saw those men. You know this isn't normal." He shifted slightly, testing his mobility. "And because you brought me here instead of a hospital. Your instincts are better than you think, Rachel Torres." "Who are you?" "Adriano Luminari." He said it like it should mean something. It didn't. "I need to make a call. May I use your phone?" Every rational part of my brain screamed to refuse. Instead, I handed him my cell. He dialed from memory, spoke rapid Italian, too quiet for me to catch, then ended the call. "They'll be here in 40 minutes. You and your daughter need to come with us when they arrive. Absolutely not. Lily has school Monday. I have work. And we don't go anywhere with strangers who show up tied to train tracks. Those men who were hunting me? His gaze held mine. They'll have seen your car leaving. Small town like this, it won't take them long to find your address. By tonight, they'll know exactly where you live. My blood turned cold. You're lying, trying to scare me into helping you. I wish I was. There was genuine regret in his voice. I'm sorry. This isn't the thanks you deserve for saving my life. But those men are Russian mob, and they don't leave loose ends. You and Lily became loose ends the moment you cut those ropes. Lily's hand found mine. I pulled her close, my mind racing through options that all led to the same conclusion. We were already involved, whether I liked it or not. 37 minutes after Adriano made his call, I heard the vehicles. 3 black SUVs pulled up to my curb in perfect formation, drawing my neighbor's curtains aside like dominoes. Mrs. Chen would have questions later. If there was a later. Lily pressed against the window. Mom, they're here. 6 men emerged, moving with military precision. The one who reached my door first was older, maybe mid-40s, with silver threading through dark hair and eyes that cataloged everything. He knocked twice, sharp and efficient. I opened it before he could knock again. Inside, quickly, they filed in without hesitation. The older man's gaze went straight to Adriano, still on my kitchen table. Relief flickered across his hardened features. Sergio. Adriano's voice was stronger than an hour ago. About time. Traffic. Sergio moved to his side, examining the bandaged shoulder with practiced efficiency. You look like hell. Feel worse. This is Rachel Torres. She pulled me off those tracks and patched me up. Her daughter Lily helped. Sergio's attention shifted to us, his expression softening slightly. You saved his life. We won't forget that. A woman in her 50s pushed through, medical bag already open. She had the no-nonsense demeanor of someone who'd seen everything twice. Elena Ricci. Let me see what we're working with. She peeled back my bandaging with careful fingers, studying the sutures I'd placed. Her eyebrows rose. Emergency room nurse? Yes. This is exceptional work under the circumstances. You probably added 10 years to his life. She looked at me directly. Thank you. While Elena assessed Adriano, I grabbed Lily's hand and pulled her into the hallway. My voice dropped to a whisper. Go pack a bag. Clothes for 3 days. Your tablet, Mr. Bear. Nothing else. We're really going with them? We don't have a choice right now, sweetheart. I need you to trust me. She nodded and disappeared into her room. I ducked into mine, throwing clothes into my old duffel without thought. Scrubs, jeans, sweaters. My hands shook as I grabbed toiletries from the bathroom. In the kitchen, Sergio had his phone out, swiping through images. He approached as I returned. Mrs. Torres, I need to show you something. The first photo showed my Civic, clear as daylight, exiting the forest access road. Timestamp, 10:47 a.m. The second showed my license plate in perfect focus. The third was a screenshot from what looked like DMV records, my address highlighted. Traffic cameras along Highway 26, Sergio explained. The Russians have people monitoring them. They identified your vehicle approximately 90 minutes ago. We estimate they'll have your home address within 6 hours, probably less. Ice settled in my stomach. You're serious. Deadly serious. Franco Sassolini, Adriano's former advisor, sold him out to the Solntsevskaya Bratva, Russian organized crime. They're not known for mercy, and they don't leave witnesses. I looked at my daughter's artwork on the refrigerator, the photos lining the hallway. 3 years of rebuilding after David's death, of creating safety and normalcy. Gone in one morning. How long would we need to be gone? That depends on how quickly we resolve the situation. Sergio's tone was diplomatic but firm. Days at minimum. Possibly longer. Elena finished wrapping fresh bandages around Adriano's shoulder. He needs rest and monitoring. The wound site looks good, but infection is still a risk. Then let's move. Adriano swung his legs off the table, grimacing but upright. 2 guards flanked him immediately. Rachel, Lily, we leave now. Wait. I held up a hand. My job. Lily's school. We can't just disappear. You can't stay here either. Adriano met my gaze. I'm sorry. This isn't what you signed up for when you helped me. Lily emerged with her backpack, looking smaller than her 10 years. I made a decision. Give me 2 minutes. In the bathroom, I dialed Mercy General's main line, then the extension for ER administration. It went to voicemail after hours. Perfect. Susan, this is Rachel Torres. I have a family emergency I need to handle. I'm requesting immediate medical leave. 2 weeks minimum. I'll submit the formal paperwork as soon as possible. I'm sorry for the short notice. I ended the call, my reflection staring back from the mirror. Pale, frightened, but resolute. Whatever came next, I'd face it. For Lily, the convoy moved through the city with purpose, but not urgency. I sat in the back of the middle SUV with Lily pressed against my side. Adriano occupied the front passenger seat, Sergio driving. The other vehicles bracketed us fore and aft. Where exactly are we going? I kept my voice level. My primary residence, 20 acres, secured perimeter, outside city limits. Adriano shifted carefully. You'll be safe there. Safe from Russians. Not necessarily safe from you. A sound that might have been a laugh. Fair point. But if I wanted to harm you, Mrs. Torres, there were easier opportunities than saving your life. Lily spoke up suddenly. Are you a criminal? The car went silent. Sergio's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. Adriano turned as much as his injuries allowed. Yes, he said simply. I run business operations that aren't entirely legal. Does that scare you? A little. She considered. But you haven't hurt us. And those men in the forest would have. Smart girl. There was approval in his tone. The world isn't as simple as good and bad. Sometimes it's about choosing the lesser danger. We drove for 40 minutes, leaving urban sprawl behind for forested hills. A gate appeared, wrought iron and serious, flanked by stone pillars. It opened silently as we approached. The property unfolded like something from a magazine. Manicured grounds, mature trees providing privacy, and at the center, a house that managed to be both modern and elegant. Glass and stone blending seamlessly, all clean lines and understated wealth. Holy cow, Lily whispered. The SUVs pulled into a circular drive. More men waited, at least a dozen, all armed but discreet about it. They formed a perimeter as we exited. A woman in her 60s descended the front steps, her posture military straight despite her age. She wore simple but expensive clothes, her salt and pepper hair in an elegant twist. Rosa. Adriano's greeting was warm. We have guests. I've prepared the East Wing. Her accent was thick, Italian perhaps. She studied Lily and me with sharp eyes. Welcome to Casa Luminari. Inside was exactly what I expected. Soaring ceilings, museum-quality art, furniture that cost more than I made in a year. But it felt lived in, not sterile. Books on tables, a throw blanket draped over a chair. Someone's home, not just a showpiece. Rosa led us up a sweeping staircase. Mr. Luminari thought you would prefer rooms together but separate. The suite has connecting doors. She opened double doors onto a space larger than my entire house. A sitting area with plush sofas, a bedroom with a king bed, and through an archway, a second, smaller bedroom. The little one's room. Rosa smiled at Lily. There are clothes in the wardrobes that should fit. Dinner is at 8, but for tonight we can bring something up if you prefer. I found my voice. We'll be fine. Thank you. When the door closed, I sat heavily on the sofa. Lily explored with cautious excitement, opening doors to reveal a bathroom with marble everywhere and a closet filled with designer clothes in our sizes. Mom, how did they have all this ready? Money and planning. I rubbed my temples. Lily, come here. She sat beside me, still clutching her backpack. I took her hands. I need you to understand something. These people, what they do, it's not legal, it's dangerous. But right now, they're keeping us safe from something worse. The Russians. Yes, we're going to stay here until it's safe to leave, but we're not prisoners. If at any point you feel scared or uncomfortable, you tell me immediately. Okay? Okay. She studied my face. Are you scared? Terrified. But I'm not going to let anything happen to you. That's a promise. At 8 o'clock, we descended to the dining room. Adriano waited, freshly showered and dressed in dark slacks and a button-down shirt. His injured arm rested in a professional sling. He looked remarkably composed for a man who'd been tied to train tracks that morning. "Join me." He gestured to the table set for 3. I thought Lily might prefer eating with us rather than alone. Dinner was surreal. Pasta that melted on the tongue, fresh bread, wine for me, and juice for Lily. Adriano asked her about school, her interests, treating her like an equal rather than a child. But beneath the civility, I couldn't forget. This man commanded the armed guards outside. The wealth surrounding us came from illegal operations. And somewhere in the city, Russians were hunting for us. "What happens tomorrow?" I asked as dessert was cleared. "Tomorrow we plan." Adriano's expression hardened. "Franco needs to answer for his betrayal. The Russians need to understand you're under my protection. And you need to decide how much you want to know about my world. I already know enough." "No, Rachel. You've seen the surface. But if you're going to be here, truly safe, you need to understand the depth of what I do." He paused. "And why certain rules exist that can't be broken." Later, after Lily fell asleep in the adjoining room, I stood at the window overlooking the grounds. Security lights illuminated the perimeter. Men patrolled in pairs. This was real. The danger, the protection, all of it. I'd saved a criminal's life this morning. Now I was living in his fortress, eating at his table, trusting him to keep my daughter safe. The question that kept me awake wasn't whether I'd made the right choice. I'd made the only choice available. The question was how much it would cost me before this was over. Sunday morning arrived with pale sunlight filtering through curtains that probably cost more than my monthly salary. I caught myself starting to calculate, then stopped. That kind of thinking wouldn't help. Lily was already awake, sitting cross-legged on her bed with her tablet, earbuds in. I knocked softly on the doorframe. She looked up and pulled out one earbud. "Morning. I set up the online portal for your schoolwork. Mrs. Henderson emailed the assignments." "Thanks, Mom." She hesitated. "Are we going home soon?" "I don't know yet, sweetheart. But we'll figure it out together." The next 3 days fell into an unexpected rhythm. Rosa appeared each morning with breakfast, always perfectly timed. Lily completed her schoolwork at the desk in her room, while I tried to maintain some semblance of normalcy. We explored the grounds under watchful eyes, walked the perimeter paths, discovered a stable with 3 horses that Lily immediately fell in love with. But normal was a thin veneer. Armed men patrolled constantly. The gates never opened without clearance. And Adriano was everywhere, recovering faster than seemed possible while running his operation from the house. I saw him most mornings in what Rosa called the office, speaking rapid Italian into phones or meeting with men who arrived and departed with military efficiency. His injured shoulder barely slowed him. By Monday, he'd discarded the sling. By Tuesday, he was working full days. Wednesday afternoon, I found him in the library. Floor-to-ceiling books, leather furniture, a fire crackling despite the mild weather. He sat in a wing-back chair, reading glasses perched on his nose, studying documents spread across a mahogany table. "You look better." I'd meant to stay away, but curiosity drew me in. "Your handiwork." He glanced up, marking his place. "Elena said another week, and I might have lost the arm to infection. You saved more than my life that morning. Any nurse would have done the same, but they didn't. You did." He removed the glasses, and suddenly he looked younger, less intimidating. "Sit, please. You've been avoiding me." I took the chair opposite, keeping the table between us. "I've been giving you space to work, and trying to keep Lily occupied. She's remarkable, smart, observant, emotionally mature for 10 years old. She had to grow up fast when her father died." The words came out sharper than intended. "Police officer. Killed during a routine traffic stop that went wrong. 3 years ago." Something shifted in his expression. "I'm sorry. That kind of loss changes everything." "It does. Which is why I need to ask directly. When can we leave? I'm grateful for the protection. But Lily needs stability. School, friends, her life. Soon. We're making progress locating Franco. Once he's dealt with, the Russians will have no reason to pursue you." "Dealt with." I leaned forward. "You mean killed?" "Yes." No hesitation. No justification. He betrayed not just me, but 20 families who depend on my organization for their livelihoods. That requires consequences. You're talking about execution like it's a business transaction, because in my world it is. He stood, moving to the window. I won't lie to you, Rachel. I've done things that would horrify you, ordered actions that haunt me. But I also protect hundreds of people who have nowhere else to turn. The world isn't black and white. No, it's not. But there are still lines, and I've crossed most of them. He turned back. Does that terrify you? I considered the question honestly. It should, but I keep seeing contradictions. The man who threatens executions is the same one who asks about Lily's schoolwork at breakfast, who pays Rosa a salary that lets her support her grandchildren, who rebuilt the children's wing at Mercy General as an anonymous donor. His eyebrows rose. How did you know about that? I work there, remember? Everyone knows about the mysterious benefactor who funded the renovation. The dedication plaque might say anonymous, but the staff figured it out. Yet you still brought me into your home, knowing what I was. I brought a dying man into my home. What you were didn't factor into the decision until it was too late to matter. Footsteps in the hallway interrupted us. Sergio appeared, phone in hand, his expression grim. He spoke in rapid Italian. I caught maybe 3 words, none helpful. Adriano's jaw tightened. When? 20 minutes ago. Outer perimeter cameras picked up surveillance. 2 vehicles, Russian plates. My stomach dropped. They found us. They found the property. Adriano's voice was steel. They won't get inside. Sergio, double the guard rotation. I want eyes on every access point. Already done. Sergio left as quickly as he'd arrived. I was on my feet. Lily, I need to get Lily. She's safe. I promise you. Adriano caught my arm gently. Rachel, look at me. This property has security that rivals military installations. They're probing, testing responses. They won't attack. Not yet. How can you be sure? Because that's not how they operate. They'll watch, wait, look for weaknesses, and they won't find any. That evening, Lily asked the question I'd been dreading. We were in the suite after dinner, her homework spread across the coffee table. She set down her pencil and looked at me with those 2 perceptive eyes. Mom, is Adriano a bad man? I could have deflected. Should have, probably. But she deserved honesty. That's complicated, sweetheart. No, it's simple. He either hurts innocent people or he doesn't. Come here. I pulled her close on the sofa. The world is more complex than that. Adriano does things that are illegal, things that can hurt people, but he also protects families, helps people who have nowhere else to go. He's both things at once. Like an anti-hero in the books I read. Sort of. But this isn't fiction. The consequences are real. She was quiet for a moment. Do you think he'd hurt us? No, I don't. Then that's what matters right now. Her simple logic was both reassuring and terrifying. When had my 10-year-old become the voice of reason? Thursday morning, I encountered Elena in the hallway. She was leaving Adriano's room after what I assumed was a routine check of his injuries. Walk with me. She gestured toward the gardens. Outside, away from listening ears, she spoke quietly. You're wondering why I work for him. Why someone with medical credentials chooses this life. The thought had crossed my mind. 12 years ago, my daughter was taken. Kidnapped by traffickers who saw an easy target. Single mother, immigrant family. No resources to fight back. Her voice remained steady. Clinical. The police tried, but these men had connections. Money. They disappeared across state lines before the investigation even began. I'm so sorry. Adriano found them in 4 days. He brought Elena home unharmed and ensured those men would never hurt another child. He didn't ask for payment, didn't expect gratitude. He simply acted because it was within his power to do so. And you've worked for him ever since. Not for him. With him. There's a difference. She met my eyes. He inspires loyalty not through fear, but through action. Every person in this house has a similar story. We stay because we choose to, because we believe in what he's building. What is he building? Something better than what exists. It's not perfect, not clean, but it's his way of balancing scales that were never meant to be balanced. I watched her walk back inside. her words settling like stones in my chest. Adriano Luminari was becoming harder to categorize with each passing day, and that scared me more than the Russians watching from outside the gates. That night I couldn't sleep. I found myself wandering the house, drawn by voices from Adriano's office. The door was cracked open. Inside, Sergio's voice carried clearly. The contact in the FBI confirmed it. Franco's been moving assets through offshore accounts. We have locations for 3 safe houses. Which one is he using? Adriano's question was sharp. Best guess? The warehouse property by the port. Gives him access to shipping routes if he needs to run. I froze. They had federal contacts. Law enforcement contacts. The implications spun through my mind. Corruption or something more nuanced? Arrangements in those gray areas Adriano seemed to inhabit? We move on Friday night. Minimal crew, maximum efficiency. I want Franco alive to answer questions before he's dealt with. I retreated before they could discover me listening, but sleep was even more elusive afterward. The man recovering from torture in my kitchen was connected to the FBI, protected people while executing traitors, ran an illegal empire from a house that felt more like a fortress, and despite every rational reason to be terrified, despite the armed guards and deadly threats, I caught myself wondering what it would be like if we stayed, not as prisoners or guests, but as something else entirely. The thought should have horrified me. Instead, it kept me awake until dawn, imagining possibilities I had no right to consider. The explosion shattered my sleep at 2:43 a.m. on the 6th day. I bolted upright, heart hammering, disoriented. Another boom, closer this time. Lily's scream cut through the chaos. I ran to her room. She was sitting up in bed, eyes wide with terror. Before I could reach her, the door burst open. Not an intruder, Rosa, moving with surprising speed for her age. "Come, now!" She grabbed Lily's hand in mine. "Panic room, go." Gunfire erupted outside. Not the sharp cracks from movies, but deeper, percussive sounds that made my bones vibrate. Rosa led us down the hallway at a run, bare feet silent on marble floors. She pressed her palm against what looked like ordinary wall paneling. It slid back, revealing a steel door and a keypad. Her fingers flew across the numbers. The door opened with a hydraulic hiss. "Inside. Lock it behind me. Don't open for anyone except Adriano or Sergio. They have the code. You're not coming?" Lily's voice was small, terrified. "I have others to secure. You'll be safe here, I promise." The room beyond was windowless, maybe 12 feet square. Reinforced walls, emergency supplies stacked on shelves, monitors showing different angles of the property. On the screens, I could see muzzle flashes in the darkness, figures moving through shadows. The door sealed behind us with a final terrible click. Lily threw herself against me, shaking. I wrapped both arms around her, fighting my own terror to be what she needed. "It's okay. We're safe. We're safe." On the monitors, I watched the battle unfold. Adriano's men moved with coordinated precision, falling back to defensive positions around the main house. The attackers pressed forward, maybe 8 or 10 of them, hard to count in the darkness and confusion. Then I saw him. Adriano, emerging from the house despite his still healing shoulder, directing his men with hand signals. He was wearing tactical gear, moving like someone who'd done this 1,000 times before. "Mom, look." Lily pointed to the screen showing the eastern perimeter. 2 men had broken through, racing toward the house. Before they could reach it, they went down under a hail of gunfire from guards I hadn't even seen positioned in the trees. The assault lasted maybe 10 minutes, though it felt like hours. When the gunfire finally stopped, the silence was worse. I stared at the monitors, counting bodies on the ground. All attackers, as far as I could tell. None of Adriano's men had fallen. Footsteps approached our door. I pushed Lily behind me, grabbing the only weapon available, a fire extinguisher from the emergency supplies. The keypad beeped. I raised the extinguisher. The door opened. Adriano stood there, blood spattered across his tactical vest, eyes scanning the room until they found us. Something in his expression shifted when he saw we were unharmed. "Are you hurt?" He stepped inside, moving toward us. "We're fine. Are you?" I could see scrapes on his knuckles, a cut above his eyebrow. Nothing serious. He crouched down to Lily's level. You were very brave. I know that was scary. To my shock, Lily lunged forward and wrapped her arms around his neck. He froze for a heartbeat, then carefully returned the embrace, one hand cradling the back of her head. I thought they'd get in. She whispered against his shoulder. I thought they'd hurt you. Nothing is getting through those walls. And I'm not that easy to hurt. He pulled back, meeting her eyes. You're safe here. That's a promise I intend to keep. She nodded, wiping tears with her sleeve. Adriano stood, his attention shifting to me. The Russians? I managed. Repelled. 3 dead. 5 retreated. None of our people were seriously injured. His jaw tightened. This was a probing attack. They wanted to test our response time, our capabilities. Now they know. And what will they do with that information? Probably nothing for now. They lost men and gained nothing. But it means the situation is escalating. Franco must be more desperate than I thought. The next morning, the property was a hive of activity. Additional guards arrived in waves. Contractors reinforced the perimeter. Adriano spent hours with Sergio and his security team, reorganizing defensive positions. I watched from the library window, Lily beside me. She was quiet, processing what had happened. I didn't push her to talk about it. Some things needed time to settle. Mrs. Torres. A young guard I hadn't met before approached. Mr. Luminari requests your presence in the East Garden. I found Adriano there, supervising as men installed additional camera equipment. When he saw me, he dismissed them with a gesture. I wanted to apologize. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes. You came here for protection. Instead, you experienced combat. You said there would be danger. You weren't lying. I crossed my arms. But Lily is traumatized. She's putting on a brave face, but she's 10 years old. She shouldn't have to be brave about gunfights. You're right. She shouldn't. He ran a hand through his hair. I'm doubling security. This won't happen again. You can't promise that. No, but I can make it significantly less likely. He studied me. You're angry. I'm terrified. And I'm feeling helpless, which makes me angry. The admission surprised me. I'm used to being useful. In the ER, I have skills, purpose. Here, I'm just waiting to see what happens next. Something shifted in his expression. What if you could be useful? How? My men need better medical training. Basic trauma care, triage protocols. We have Elena, but she can't be everywhere. If you're willing, I'd like you to train my security team. I'd expected many things. Not this. You want me to teach your people how to save lives while they're busy taking them? I want them to have every advantage when violence finds them. Which it will, repeatedly. His voice was steady. You don't have to decide now, but think about it. I did think about it. All day, while Lily worked on her lessons and I tried to read. That evening, I found Adriano in his office. I'll do it. Train your men. I stood in the doorway, arms crossed. But I need you to understand something. I'm doing this so they can help each other, protect each other. Not because I approve of what you do. Understood. Thank you. And I want to know more. About your world, the rules, all of it. If Lily and I are here, if we're involved, I need to understand the full picture. That's fair. Ask whatever you want. Elena told me a story. About her daughter. Is that true? Yes. Every word. How many people have you helped like that? He leaned back in his chair. I stopped counting years ago. Dozens, maybe hundreds. It started with one. My sister. She was killed by traffickers when I was 19. Police couldn't touch the men responsible. They had connections, money, protection. So I learned to operate outside those systems. And you became what you fought against. In some ways, yes. I hurt people. I've ordered deaths. But I also built something that protects families who have nowhere else to turn. He held my gaze. I'm not asking you to forgive what I do, just to see it clearly. Over the following days, I conducted training sessions in the estate's converted gym. 20 men at a time, learning to pack wounds, apply tourniquets, recognize shock. They were attentive students, these criminals and enforcers. They asked good questions, took notes, Sergio attended every session, his presence ensuring everyone took it seriously. Afterward, he approached me. "You're good at this. Clear, patient. The men respect you. They respect Adriano. I'm just the messenger." "No, you earned it yourself." He paused. "He's different around you. Lighter somehow. I've known him 15 years. I've never seen that before. I didn't know what to say to that, so I said nothing. That night, I found Elena in the kitchen, brewing tea. She poured a second cup without asking and gestured for me to sit. "You're adjusting well. Better than most would in your position. I'm good at adapting. Survival skill from the ER. It's more than that. You're not intimidated by Adriano. Most people are, even his own men." She smiled slightly. "It's refreshing. Should I be intimidated?" "Probably, but I'm glad you're not." She sipped her tea. "He needs someone who sees him, not just what he represents. Someone who challenges him. I'm not trying to be anything to him. I'm just trying to keep my daughter safe. Of course, but sometimes we become things we didn't plan on. That's not always a bad thing." I left her words hanging in the air, unexamined. Because examining them meant acknowledging the pull I felt when Adriano entered a room. The way his rare smiles made my breath catch. The dangerous warmth that spread through me when he looked at me like I was more than just a complication in his carefully ordered world. And acknowledging those feelings meant admitting I was in far deeper trouble than Russian mobsters could ever pose. On the 8th day, Sergio arrived during breakfast with news written across his face. He waited until Lily excused herself to her room before speaking. "We found him. Franco." He spread photos across the table. "Warehouse by the port. Meeting with Russian leadership in 48 hours to finalize the information sale." Adriano studied the images with cold focus. "How solid is the intel?" "Confirmed through 3 separate sources. He's desperate, making mistakes. This is our window." I set down my coffee cup carefully. "You're going after him?" "Yes." Adriano didn't look at me. "Minimal team, maximum speed. We'll be back before dawn." The rest of the day passed in careful preparation. Men came and went, speaking in low tones. Weapons were checked, vehicles loaded. The house hummed with controlled tension. I kept Lily occupied with her lessons, but my mind was elsewhere. By evening, I couldn't focus on anything. After putting her to bed, I found myself drawn to the library, unsure what I was seeking. Adriano was there, standing at the window overlooking the grounds. He'd changed into dark tactical clothing, the fabric emphasizing the lean strength of his frame. When he turned, something in his expression made my breath catch. "You should be resting." His voice was quieter than usual. "Tomorrow will be a long day for everyone." "I'm not tired." I moved into the room. "Are you scared? About tomorrow?" "Terrified." The admission surprised me. Not of Franco. Of not coming back. Of leaving things unsaid that should have been spoken. "What things?" He crossed the distance between us in 3 strides. "This thing between us. You feel it too, don't you?" The pull. My heart hammered against my ribs. "Adriano, I know the timing is terrible. I know I have no right to ask for anything from you. You came here to be protected, not to be pursued by the man who put you in danger." His hand came up, fingers barely brushing my cheek. "But tomorrow I might die, and I need you to know that since you cut those ropes, something changed in me." "Changed how?" "I saw a life beyond this, beyond the violence and the empire, and the constant vigilance. I saw you and Lily at breakfast, laughing about something I didn't understand. I saw mornings that weren't about strategy, nights that weren't about survival." His thumb traced along my jaw. "I saw something I'd given up believing could exist for someone like me. I should have stepped back. Should have maintained the boundaries I'd worked so hard to establish. Instead, I leaned into his touch. "You scare me." The words came out barely above a whisper. "Not because of what you do, because of how you make me feel." "How do I make you feel?" "Safe and terrified at the same time. Like I'm standing at the edge of something I can't come back from." "Then don't step back." His other hand found my waist, pulling me closer. "Step forward. With me." When his mouth met mine, it wasn't gentle. It was hunger and desperation, and 10 days of tension finally finding release. I responded without thinking, hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer despite every rational thought screaming to stop. He tasted like coffee and danger, and something uniquely him. His hands were careful despite the intensity, mindful of boundaries even as we crossed them. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against mine. "Come with me tomorrow." The request was barely audible. "Stay somewhere safe, but be there. I need to know you're close." "That's insane." "Probably, but I'm asking anyway." "I can't put Lily at risk. Rosa will stay with her. Full security detail. They'll be safer here than anywhere else in the world." I pulled back enough to see his face. "Why does it matter if I'm there?" "Because if something goes wrong, I want the last thing I see to be you." His hand cupped my face. "Is that pathetic enough to be honest?" "It's terrifying enough to be real." I closed my eyes. "I'll think about it. That's all I ask." He kissed me again, softer this time. "Go. Get some sleep. I need to finish planning." I made it halfway to the door before turning back. "Adriano?" "Yes?" "Come back." "That's not a request. It's an order." That rare, genuine smile crossed his face. "Yes, ma'am." The next evening arrived too quickly. Lily was in her room with Rosa, who'd promised stories and hot chocolate. I stood in the foyer, dressed in dark jeans and a black jacket, feeling like I was making the worst decision of my life. Sergio appeared, eyebrows rising when he saw me. "Mrs. Torres, I'm coming. Somewhere safe, somewhere I won't be in the way. But I'm coming." He studied me for a long moment, then nodded. "The observation van. 1/2 mile from the target site. You'll have eyes on everything, but be protected." Adriano descended the stairs, pausing when he saw me. Relief and concern warred on his face. "You're sure?" "No, but I'm here anyway." The drive to the port took 40 minutes. I sat in the back of an SUV with Elena, who'd insisted on coming to handle medical needs. She patted my hand once, understanding without words. The observation van was exactly what Sergio described, a mobile command center 1/2 mile from the warehouse. Screens showed different angles of the target building. Men in tactical gear moved into position like chess pieces. I watched Adriano on the monitors, directing his team with hand signals. He moved carefully, testing his still healing shoulder. The tactical vest he wore probably hid considerable discomfort. Watching him, I could see the slight hesitation when he raised his left arm, the way he favored his right side. He'd pushed his recovery, driven by necessity. 10 days wasn't enough time to heal completely, but he'd taken enough pain medication to function. I'd seen the prescription bottles in his bathroom. Industrial-strength anti-inflammatories and muscle relaxants. The assault began precisely at midnight. Adriano's team breached the warehouse through 3 entry points simultaneously. On the monitors, I watched chaos unfold in night vision green. Men scattering, weapons firing, bodies dropping. Franco was in the center office when they reached him. He tried to run. Didn't make it 10 feet before Sergio tackled him to the ground. The Russians fought harder. 2 of Adriano's men went down with injuries. Elena grabbed her medical bag, ready to move if called. But the tide turned quickly. Within 7 minutes, it was over. Then I saw him. A Russian guard Adriano hadn't seen, emerging from behind shipping containers. The knife caught Adriano in the side before anyone could react. He spun, bringing his weapon around, taking the man down. But I'd seen the blood. "Elena." My voice didn't sound like my own. She was already moving. "Sergio, Adriano's hit. Blade wound, left side. We need immediate extraction." 20 minutes later, they brought him to the van. He was conscious, hand pressed against his ribs, blood seeping between his fingers. His eyes found mine immediately. "You're here." He sounded surprised, like he'd forgotten I'd come. "I'm here. Sit. Let me see it." I pulled on gloves, years of ER training taking over. Elena had the medical kit open, instruments ready. The cut was deep, maybe 4 inches long, running along his lower ribs. It had missed anything vital, but the blood loss was significant. I cleaned the area quickly while Elena prepped sutures. "You should see the other guy," Adriano said through gritted teeth. I did, on the monitors. I pressed gauze against the wound. "You moved too slow. The shoulder's still weak. Noticed that, did you?" I notice everything about you. It's becoming a problem. I took the needle from Elena. This is going to hurt. Can't hurt worse than watching you watch me get stabbed. His good hand found mine briefly. Thank you for being here. I worked in silence, placing each suture with care. His breathing stayed controlled despite the pain. When I finished, Elena wrapped the area with professional efficiency. Franco? Adriano asked Sergio, who stood nearby. Secured, awaiting your questions. Tonight I just want to go home. His eyes were on me. Make sure everyone made it back alive. 2 injuries, neither critical. Everyone's accounted for. The ride back was quieter. Adriano sat beside me, his hand finding mine in the darkness. He didn't let go until we reached the estate. Lily was asleep when we arrived. Rosa met us in the foyer, taking in Adriano's condition with a single glance. I've prepared the medical suite. Elena, everything you need is there. Thank you, Rosa. Elena guided Adriano toward the stairs. Mrs. Torres, if you could assist? We spent the next hour monitoring his vitals, administering antibiotics, ensuring the wound site remained clean. When Elena finally declared him stable, she left us alone in the medical suite. You should rest, I said, adjusting his pillow. Stay. His hand caught mine. Just for a while, let me look at you. I sat on the edge of the bed, our fingers intertwined. You came back. I gave my word. His thumb traced circles on my palm. Rachel, about last night. I meant what I said, all of it. I know. That's what scares me. Tell me what you're afraid of. That I'm falling for a man whose world could destroy us. That Lily will get attached and then lose another father figure. That I'm being selfish. Choosing what I want over what's safe. Those are all valid fears. He shifted slightly, wincing. But consider this. Safety is an illusion. Your husband was a police officer doing his job, and he died anyway. Sometimes the dangerous choice is the honest one. That's a terrible argument. I know. But it's true. He pulled me closer. I can't promise you safety. I can promise you honesty, protection for Lily, and that every day I wake up, I'll try to be worthy of what you've given me. I leaned down, kissing him softly. That might be enough. Yeah? Ask me again tomorrow. When you're not high on pain medication, and I've had time to think. Fair enough. His eyes drifted closed. But Rachel? Tomorrow my answer will be the same. And the day after. And every day until you tell me to stop. I stayed until his breathing evened out in sleep, then slipped from the room. Outside, the sun was rising, painting the grounds in gold and pink. Everything had changed in the space of a kiss and a knife wound. I didn't know if I was making the right choice. But for the first time since David died, I was making a choice at all, and that felt like progress. The morning after the warehouse raid, I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then memory returned in a rush. Adriano's kiss, the knife wound, the way he'd looked at me while I sutured his side. Elena had declared him stable by dawn. The wound was clean, no signs of infection. He'd heal, though he'd carry another scar to add to his collection. I found him in his office 3 days later, paperwork spread across the desk. He looked up when I entered, a genuine smile crossing his face. Franco talked before he died. No preamble, just facts. The Russians were paying him for access to our shipping routes and financial records. He gave them enough to be dangerous, but not enough to destroy us. And now? Now they know their investment is gone. The surveillance vehicles disappeared yesterday. Sergio's contacts confirm they've pulled back to regroup. He set down his pen. You're safe to leave, Rachel. You and Lily. The threat is over. The words should have brought relief. Instead, they settled like stones in my chest. Oh, I've arranged for a secure house if you want it. New neighborhood, different name, full security, or I can have your old place monitored discreetly. He stood, moving around the desk. Whatever you choose, you'll be protected. That's generous. It's the least I can do. He stopped a few feet away, respecting the distance. But there's a third option, which is, stay here. Not as my prisoner or my guest, as someone exploring what this could be between us. My phone rang before I could respond. The hospital's main line. I answered, stepping into the hallway. Rachel, It's Susan from ER Admin. Got your message about the family emergency. Everything okay? I'd forgotten about that voicemail, left in panic nearly 2 weeks ago. Yes, things are settling down. I should be able to return soon. Take your time. We hired a temp to cover, so there's no rush. Your position is secure whenever you're ready. Just keep me posted, okay? I will. Thank you, Susan. I ended the call, staring at the phone in my hand. My job was waiting. My life, such as it was, remained intact. I could walk away from this, from him, from everything that had happened in these strange, intense weeks. I found Lily in the library, curled up with one of the horse's therapy books Rosa had found for her. She looked up when I sat beside her. We can go home soon. The danger is over. Her expression didn't change. Do you want to go home? I'm asking what you want, sweetheart. She closed the book carefully, thinking. At 10, she was too perceptive for easy answers. I like it here. Rosa makes the best pancakes and Adriano taught me Italian words. And the horses are nice. She paused. But I miss my room, my friends, normal things. What if we could have both? Normal things, but here. Is that even possible? Good question. I don't know. But I'm considering finding out. That evening, I sought out Adriano in the gardens. He stood by the fountain, watching water cascade over stone. When he heard my footsteps, he turned. I spoke with Lily. I stopped beside him. And with myself, for that matter. About what comes next. What did you decide? I'm terrified of you, of what you represent, what you do. I'm scared of Lily getting hurt, of me making choices based on loneliness instead of reality. The words came faster now. I'm afraid I'm confusing gratitude with something deeper. That I'm romanticizing danger because my life before was safe and empty. Those are valid concerns. But I'm also afraid of walking away. Of never knowing what this could become. I met his gaze. You've been honest about your world. Now I need honesty about this. What do you want from me? Everything. No hesitation. Your trust. Your time. Your heart if you're willing to give it. I want mornings where you're the first thing I see. I want Lily's laughter filling these rooms. I want to deserve you, Rachel. Even though I probably never will. I can't promise forever. Not yet. I'm not asking for forever. Just today. And if today goes well, tomorrow. I stepped closer. Then here's what I need. Transparency about your business. Not every detail, but honesty about the dangerous parts. Lily comes first, always. And I need purpose. I can't just be the woman you're with. I need to contribute something meaningful. Done. All of it. He cupped my face. What else? Time. To figure out if this is real or just adrenaline and circumstances. How much time? I don't know. Weeks, months, however long it takes to be sure. He kissed me then, soft and sure. I'll take whatever you're willing to give. The next morning, I called Susan back. I need to extend my leave, another few weeks, maybe more. It's complicated. Take what you need. Your job will be here. Lily adapted with the resilience of children. She continued her online classes but started writing lessons with the stable master. Rosa taught her to make pasta from scratch. Sergio's teenage daughter visited on weekends, giving Lily someone closer to her age. But I insisted on normalcy too. We drove into town for ice cream, visited the library, went to the park. Always with security, discreet but present. Lily accepted it as the new normal. Adriano and I fell into a rhythm. Morning coffee together, stolen moments between his meetings and my training sessions with his security team. He showed me his business ledgers, the legitimate operations, the gray areas, even the illegal ones. No lies, no omissions. This is who I am, he said one night. Financial reports spread between us. I'm working toward legality, but it'll take years, maybe a decade. Some things I do will always exist in shadows. I know. I'm choosing you anyway. I traced the scar on his shoulder, the one I'd sutured in my kitchen a lifetime ago. For now, at least. For now is enough. 2 weeks after Franco's death, I watched Adriano with Lily in the stable. He was teaching her to brush the horses properly, patient and gentle. She laughed at something he said, the sound carrying across the yard. Elena appeared at my elbow. You're staring. I'm observing. There's a difference. You've decided to stay, temporarily, to see if this works outside of crisis mode. And if it does? She studied me with those knowing eyes. What then? Then I'll face that decision when it comes. I watched Adriano lift Lily onto the horse's back, his hands steady and sure. One day at a time. That night, after Lily was asleep, Adriano found me in the library. I'd been trying to read, but the words kept blurring. What are you thinking about? He sat beside me on the sofa. David, my husband, how he'd feel about this. I set down the book. He was a good man. Honorable. He'd probably hate what you do. Probably. Adriano didn't flinch from it. Does that matter? It should. But he also wanted me to be happy. He told me that, at the end. Made me promise not to stay alone forever just because he was gone. I'm not trying to replace him. I know. You couldn't if you tried. You're too different. I turned to face him. But maybe different is what I need now. What we need. He pulled me close, my head resting on his chest. His heartbeat was steady beneath my ear. Stay, he murmured against my hair. For as long as you can. I'm here, aren't I? For now. For now. I agreed. And in that moment, surrounded by books and firelight and the weight of choices I was still learning to own, for now felt like exactly enough. The decision to stay, even temporarily, shifted something fundamental between us. What had been survival became choice. What had been necessity became desire. Over the next week, Adriano and I learned each other in ways that had nothing to do with danger or adrenaline. He liked his coffee black and too strong. I discovered he read philosophy in the mornings before anyone else woke. He learned I was terrible at hiding my emotions, but excellent at compartmentalizing them. We fell into rhythms that felt almost normal. Breakfast together, before he disappeared into his office. Evenings where he'd find me in the library or gardens, stealing moments between his endless responsibilities. But I needed boundaries. Needed to define what this was before it consumed us both. We need to talk. I found him in his study one afternoon. Financial reports spread across the mahogany desk. About how this works if I'm actually staying. He set down his pen immediately, giving me his full attention. I'm listening. Transparency. I need to know what you're doing, not every detail, but the dangerous parts. If there's going to be another warehouse raid, another attack, I need warning. I crossed my arms. I can't protect Lily if I'm operating blind. Agreed. What else? Lily comes first. Always. If something threatens her safety, we leave. No argument. No debate. That goes without saying. He stood, moving around the desk. I'd put her safety above my own. You know that. And I need purpose. I can't just be here as your girlfriend or whatever this is. I need to contribute something meaningful. He was close now. Close enough that I caught his scent. Cedar and coffee, and something uniquely him. What did you have in mind? The medical training sessions are temporary. Your men know the basics now. But I was thinking, a clinic, for your organization's families. Somewhere they can get care without questions, without paper trails that put them at risk. Something shifted in his expression. You do that? Commit to being part of this world? I'm already part of it. Might as well make it count for something. I met his gaze. But I need you to show me everything. The legitimate operations, the gray areas, all of it. If I'm choosing this, I'm choosing it with open eyes. Over the next several days, he did exactly that. Spread ledgers across his desk, explained shipping routes and real estate holdings, showed me which businesses were clean and which operated in shadows. He didn't sugarcoat or justify, just laid it bare. This is money laundering through the restaurant chain. He pointed to columns of numbers. Legal on the surface, but the cash flow comes from protection payments and import duties we shouldn't be collecting. And this? I indicated another section. Legitimate construction. We're actually building things, employing people, paying taxes. It's what I'm trying to grow into. 10 years from now, maybe 15, I want everything to look like that. Can you actually walk away from the illegal parts? Not entirely, Some things are too entrenched, but I can reduce them, redirect them, minimize the harm. He closed the ledger. It won't be clean, but it'll be cleaner. That's all I'm asking. Effort towards something better. He kissed me then, slow and thorough. When we pulled apart, his forehead rested against mine. You make me want to be better. That's terrifying. Good. You should be terrified. I have high standards. A week later, on a quiet evening after Lily went to bed, I found myself in his room. Not by accident, by choice. He looked up from his book when I entered, surprise and hunger warring on his face. Rachel, I've been thinking. I closed the door behind me. About what you said, taking things one day at a time. And today, I don't want to be careful. I don't want to overthink. I moved across the room until I stood between his knees as he sat on the bed. Today, I want you. His hands came up to my hips, careful despite the heat in his eyes. Are you sure? We don't have to. I kissed him, cutting off the words. This wasn't about obligation or gratitude, or any of the complicated emotions tangled between us. This was choice. Mine. What followed was slow and deliberate, his hands learning the shape of me, mine tracing the scars on his shoulder and side. He was careful, reverent almost, like I was something precious he was afraid to break. I'm not fragile, I whispered against his mouth. I know, but you're choosing me despite what I am. That makes you invaluable. We came together with an intensity that had nothing to do with the danger we'd survived, and everything to do with the connection we'd built in its wake. When I shattered in his arms, his name on my lips, it felt like crossing a line I could never uncross. Later, tangled in his sheets, his fingers traced patterns on my shoulder. Stay here. Tonight. Every night. Lily. We'll understand. Or we'll help her understand. He pressed a kiss to my temple. I want to wake up with you. Fall asleep beside you. All the normal things couples do. We're not a normal couple. No, but we could be our own version of normal. The next morning, Lily found me making coffee in the kitchen. She studied me with those too perceptive eyes, taking in my rumpled appearance and the contentment I couldn't quite hide. You stayed in Adriano's room last night. No judgment in her voice, just observation. I did. Is that okay? She poured herself juice, considering. Is he your boyfriend now? I think so. If that's all right with you. Does he make you happy? Yes. Then it's okay. She paused. He's not Dad. But I like him. He teaches me things and listens when I talk. That's enough. Relief flooded through me. He's not trying to replace your father, sweetheart. Nobody could do that. I know. She took a sip of juice. But maybe he could be something else. Something different that's still good. When had my 10-year-old become so wise? That afternoon, Adriano surprised us both. Get dressed, we're going out. Where? Lily's eyes lit up. Movies, then dinner somewhere normal. Maybe ice cream after. He glanced at me. If that's okay with your mother. On security? Discreet. You won't even notice them. He crouched to Lily's level. I want you to have normal experiences, not just this house. We went to a regular theater, sat in the back where two of his men had clear sight lines, watched an animated film that made Lily laugh until she couldn't breathe, ate pizza at a casual restaurant where the owner knew Adriano by name, but didn't treat him any differently than other customers. For a few hours, we were just a family out for the evening. No danger, no complications, just us. Watching Adriano with Lily, patient with her questions, engaged with her stories, protective without being overbearing, something shifted in my chest. This wasn't pretend. This wasn't temporary anymore. That night, after Lily was asleep, I found him on the balcony off his room. Thank you. For today. You don't have to thank me. I wanted to do it. Why? He turned to face me. Because you and Lily deserve normal. Because I want to prove I can give you both something beyond this fortress and its guards. Because watching her laugh at that movie made me feel like maybe I'm not just the sum of my worst decisions. I stepped into his arms, letting his warmth surround me. You're not. You're also the man who saved Elena's daughter, who pays Rosa enough to support her grandchildren, who's trying to build something better even when it would be easier to stay the same. You see me too clearly. Someone has to. We stood there in comfortable silence, the night settling around us. Inside, Lily slept safely. Below, guards patrolled. But for now, in this moment, I let myself believe that maybe we could have this. Not forever. Not without complications, but for as long as it lasted. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. 21 days after I first cut those ropes on the train tracks, Sergio burst into breakfast with an urgency that made everyone freeze. We have a problem. He didn't wait for Adriano to dismiss Lily. Intelligence intercepted communications. Dmitry Volkov is planning something. Adriano's expression went cold. What kind of something? Retaliation. He's targeting Lily. Plans to use her as leverage to force territorial concessions. The room tilted. I grabbed the table edge, my other hand instinctively reaching for my daughter. She looked between us, sensing the shift. Mom? Lily, go to your room. Now. My voice came out steadier than I felt. Rosa will come up in a minute. She didn't argue. Smart girl. She knew when things were serious. The moment she left, I turned on Adriano. You said they'd pulled back, that we were safe. They did pull back. This is different. A desperate move by a man who's lost too much. He was already moving, phone in hand. Sergio, triple the guard rotation. I want eyes on every access point, every inch of the perimeter. Already done. But boss, maybe we should consider relocating. No. My voice cut through the room. Both men looked at me. We're not running. We're ending this. Adriano studied me for a long moment. Rachel, you heard Sergio. They're planning to use Lily. That means they'll come for her, which means we can be ready. I straightened. Years of emergency training kicking in. We set a trap. Use their plan against them. That's dangerous. I won't put you and Lily at risk like that. We're already at risk. At least this way we control the variables. I held his gaze. What's the alternative? Hide forever? Move from safe house to safe house until Lily graduates high school? Sergio cleared his throat. She has a point. If we leak false information about a vulnerability, say, Lily being moved to a different property, we could prepare an ambush. Over the next hours, they planned. I insisted on being part of every discussion. Not because I understood tactical operations, but because I needed to know exactly what danger my daughter would face. The information leak happens tonight, Adriano explained, spreading maps across his desk. We make it look like Lily will be at a safe house in the city tomorrow afternoon. Limited security, easy target. But actually, she stays here with Rosa and half our force. The rest of us set the trap at the safe house. And I'm coming with you. I said it as fact, not request. Rachel, I'm a trauma nurse. If anyone gets hurt, you'll need me there. Plus, I need to see this through. I moved closer. Lily is my daughter. I'm not sitting here waiting while you fight for her safety. He searched my face, then nodded. You stay in the command vehicle with Elena. Protected, but present. The next day crawled by. I kept Lily occupied with her lessons, acting as normal as possible. She knew something was happening. Kids always know, but I couldn't tell her. Couldn't add that weight to her shoulders. That afternoon, Rosa took Lily to the stables. Adriano found me packing my medical kit. Are you scared? He leaned against the doorframe, terrified. But I'm also done being afraid. I zipped the bag. These people threatened my daughter. That changes things. You've changed too, since that first morning. He moved into the room. You're stronger than you were. I had to be. Your world doesn't forgive weakness. Our world. He corrected gently. You're part of this now. Have been for a while. The assault happened at dusk. We sat in the surveillance van half a mile from the decoy safe house. Monitors showed Russian vehicles approaching. 3 SUVs, maybe 12 men. They came in fast and aggressive, exactly as predicted. Adriano's team had positioned themselves perfectly. The Russians breached the house to find it empty, except for armed resistance waiting in strategic positions. The fight was brutal, but brief. 8 Russians went down. 4 surrendered. And Dmitry Volkov himself was dragged out in flex cuffs. bleeding from a shoulder wound but alive. Beside me, Elena prepared her medical kit. 2 of Adriano's men had injuries. 1 serious, 1 minor. We treated them on site, my hands steady despite the adrenaline crash. When the immediate danger passed, Sergio brought Dmitri to where Adriano waited. The Russian looked defiant despite his capture. "You should have stayed in your lane, Luminari." Blood dripped from Dmitri's split lip. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is." Adriano's voice was ice. "You threatened a child. My child, in every way that matters." I saw it then, the moment when Adriano would normally give the order, the cold calculation that would end with a bullet. But he glanced at me, standing beside the van, and something shifted. "Sergio, contact our FBI liaison. Tell him we have Dmitry Volkov and evidence of his organization's operations in 3 states. He looked back at the Russian. "You're going to federal prison. Life sentence, no parole. That's a promise I can make good on." Dmitri's eyes widened. "You're arresting me? What kind of mafia boss?" "The kind who's building something better than what came before." Adriano turned away. "Get him out of my sight." In the van, Elena touched my arm. "He did that for you. For Lily." "I know. That's not nothing. Men like Adriano don't break patterns easily." 3 days later, federal agents took custody of Dmitry Volkov. The evidence Adriano provided, financial records, communication intercepts, witness testimony from his own people, guaranteed a conviction. The Russian threat evaporated overnight. That evening, I found Adriano in his study. "Thank you for choosing the path you did. I didn't do it to be thanked. I did it because Lily was watching, metaphorically. Because you were watching. Because maybe I'm tired of being only one thing." He stood, moving to where I waited. Besides, death would have been too easy for him. Prison is worse. That's still ruthless. I'm not suddenly a saint, Rachel, but I'm trying to be something better than I was. His hands framed my face. For you, for Lily, for whatever future we're building. 2 weeks after Dmitri's arrest, I made it official. Called Mercy General and resigned. Told them I was relocating, which was true in every way that mattered. Then I opened the clinic. A small facility on the estate grounds, equipped with everything needed for basic medical care. Available to families in Adriano's organization who needed treatment without questions or paper trails. Elena supervised the setup, but it was mine to run. My purpose, my contribution. Not just the girlfriend of a powerful man, but a doctor serving a community that existed in shadows. Lily enrolled in a private school 20 minutes away. Discreet security followed her, but not obtrusively. She made friends, joined the equestrian team, thrived in ways I hadn't seen since before David died. 1 month after the final confrontation, I stood in the kitchen making dinner. Normal, domestic, almost boring. Lily set the table while Adriano opened wine. "Mom, can I go to Emma's house Friday after school? Her parents said it's okay if you say yes." I glanced at Adriano, who nodded slightly. Security would be arranged. "Sure, sweetheart. I'll call her mom tonight." "Thanks." She bounded off to finish homework. Adriano moved behind me, arms circling my waist as I stirred pasta sauce. "This is nice." "What, dinner?" "Normal. The 3 of us doing ordinary things." He pressed a kiss to my temple. "I never thought I could have this." Neither did I. I leaned back against him. I thought I'd saved a dying man on train tracks. Turned out I was saving myself. Later, after Lily went to bed, Adriano and I sat on the balcony under stars. His hand found mine, fingers intertwining. "Any regrets?" He asked quietly. I thought about it honestly. "About cutting those ropes? Never. About staying? Not yet." I squeezed his hand. "Ask me again in a year. Or 10. I'll be here asking. That's a promise." We sat in comfortable silence, the estate peaceful around us. Guards patrolled, but distantly. Inside, Lily slept safely. Below, my clinic stood ready to serve. This wasn't the life I'd planned. Wasn't safe or simple or anything close to normal by conventional standards, but it was ours. Built from choices and chances, and one desperate morning when I'd refused to walk away from a stranger bleeding on abandoned tracks. I'd come here to survive. Somewhere along the way, I'd started living instead. And that, I thought as Adriano pulled me close, was more than enough. It was everything.